From a live bomb to an entire bear. Here are 12 of the weirdest things found inside animals. Number 12. Dozens of eggs. At first glance, this snake's insides look like a multitude of large white balls. Golf balls? No, she wasn't found on a golf course. This unfortunate specimen had not eaten anything she wasn't supposed to. Rather, she was heavily pregnant. Her swollen belly caught the attention of farmers in Nigeria, who mistakenly thought she might have eaten some of their livestock. Perceiving her as a threat to their territory, they decided to kill her and cut her open. But instead of finding one of their animals inside the snake, the villagers encountered dozens of eggs. Based on the reptile's appearance and where it was found, Mail Online speculated in 2016 that it was an African rock python, but admitted that its species was unknown. We can only hope that the farmers only resorted to killing the snake when they established that they had no other choice. But in their defence, if the baby snakes had been born, they would have posed a heightened threat to the livestock. And because locals regard the eggs as a rare delicacy, they took advantage of the opportunity to remove and eat them. Number 11. A live bomb. A Chinese seafood salesman unexpectedly encountered a potentially life-threatening discovery in 2013 when he found a live bomb inside a squid at his market stall. The 3-foot or 1 metre long creature had apparently devoured the 8-inch or 20 centimetre device. I'm personally surprised he didn't lose control of his bladder then and there. What would you do if you found a bomb in your dinner? Let me know in the comments below. Known only as Mr. Huang, the salesman who extracted the explosive told Guangzhou Daily News that he was gutting the squid when his knife unexpectedly came into contact with a hard object. He further explained that the species live near the shore and typically eat small fish and prawns. Remarking that the specimen had a swollen belly when it was caught, Mr. Huang speculated that perhaps the squid had mistaken the bomb for its favourite meal and gulped it down. Police reported to the scene where they removed the 3-pound device and took it elsewhere for a controlled detonation. Given its rusty exterior, officers were surprised that it had not already exploded. They told local media that it may have been dropped by a fighter jet, but were unable to say how old it was. Number 10. Furniture and newspaper. Strange things were found within a massive 10-foot or 3-metre long sunfish that zoologist Edward Ramsay caught in Sydney Harbour on December 12, 1882. While a crane was transporting the live creature to shore, axe-wielding locals mercilessly hacked it to death. Ramsay gutted the 1-ton creature and shipped it to London with plans to store it for future use at the 1883 Great International Fisheries Exhibition and to ultimately donate it to the London Museum. The sunfish instead ended up sitting preserved in the basement of the Natural History Museum until 2016, when curators began restoring it. Inside its body, they found pieces of floor beams, remnants of a wicker chair, and a torn page from the January 26, 1883 edition of the Sydney Morning Herald. Not only was the clipping from after Ramsay caught the fish, it ironically mentioned the creature in its social column. That's right, it had news of its own death printed on the paper inside itself. It's unknown how the 130-year-old page ended up inside the sunfish, but the only logical conclusion would be that someone put it inside the specimen after it died. Number 9. Human body parts. The island of Reunion has experienced mounting problems with shark attacks on humans in recent years, compromising the safety of many tourists who flock to the tropical paradise for vacation. In 2019, a shark-catching program that was created to reduce these violent encounters recovered 2 human arms and a bracelet inside the stomach of an 11-foot or 3.5-metre long tiger shark. Based on the decaying state of the body parts, experts concluded that the arms belonged to a man and that he had probably died more than 2 days earlier. But the examination failed to determine whether the man drowned and was subsequently eaten by sharks, or if he had died in a shark attack. The disturbing discovery came shortly after a Scottish man's forearm and wedding ring, which his wife identified, was found in another tiger shark's stomach. Out of 24 recorded shark attacks that occurred in the area over the previous 9 years, 11 were fatal, and 2 more recent deaths highlight the gravity of this problem. Number 8. A new species. Scientists discover new species in many surprising ways, but not many people expect them to find one in the stomach of another animal. This happened in Ecuador in 2016 when researchers announced the discovery of a previously unknown ant. It was called, and let me try this, Lenomyomex hoeldebleri, inside a little devil frog. It was already no secret that the little devil frog, also called the diablito, enjoys eating ants, according to scientists. And as an ant-eating frog, it's valued for its ability to teach them about insects that are only found in tight places that are difficult for humans to access. The L. dobleri ant harvested from the frog is the only known specimen, leaving experts with little to go on when it comes to learning about the species. Measuring less than 1/4 of an inch or half a centimetre long, it has mandibles that resemble forceps, indicating that it may use its jaws to crush smaller insects such as termites, according to Raebling. Finding live specimens would likely yield more answers about the newly identified ant because it would enable researchers to subject the creatures to a so-called cafeteria test, which involves offering different prey to a specimen to learn more about its preferences. Sounds delicious, right? How would you do in a cafeteria test? I'd pass. Number 7. Bras. Back in 2010 in the UK, Molly the Rottweiler's weight dwindled to half of what it should be for her age. Her guardian took her to the vet, who performed emergency surgery and harvested 12 bras from her stomach. Vet Michael Jefferson told the press that the fuller figure garments had weighed about 11 pounds or 5 kilos, but that Molly was thankfully okay. Within days of the surgery, he said she was like a new dog. Jefferson also estimated that the bras had been in Molly's belly for 3 months and blamed her caretakers for her condition, alleging they were negligent for waiting so long to seek help for her symptoms, including weight loss and vomiting. He said that Molly was almost skeletal when she arrived at his office, and it appears as though the authorities agreed because Molly was removed from her guardian's custody. Thankfully, she was rehomed to a loving home and a more attentive family. Her former owners pled guilty to animal cruelty charges and were banned from having any more pets. Number 6. Coins. It's no secret that human activity wreaks havoc on wildlife and the environment, putting fragile ecosystems and the vulnerable species within them increasingly at risk of extinction as we fail to change our ways. The damage we are capable of was especially evident when, in 2017, a sea turtle that was a symbol of good luck had nearly 1,000 coins removed from her stomach. Sadly, the 4-hour procedure failed to save the ailing reptile, nicknamed Omsen, which means piggy bank. People just loved throwing coins at her, thinking it would bring them luck, but she didn't know any better, so she ate them and became poisoned. Thai Navy personnel in the seaside town of Sattahip found the 25-year-old turtle in an obvious state of suffering and rushed her to a veterinarian, who discovered the coins in her stomach. The underside of Omsen's shell was cracked from the weight of the coins, and she had a life-threatening infection. She initially appeared to be doing better after the coins were removed from her body, but vets discovered that Omsen still had intestinal blockage, which prevented her from eating enough protein, as well as damage to her immune system caused by nickel toxicity. They attempted a second surgery, but her body couldn't take any more, and she died. This tragic tale of a turtle's needless death reminds us how important it is to truly think about how our seemingly harmless actions can affect the world around us. Number 5. A human finger. On what was expected to be a normal day out on Idaho's Priest Lake in September 2012, fisherman Noah Calvin found a human finger inside the body of a trout he was cleaning. However alarmed he may have been, Calvin was mindful to put the finger on ice before calling the local sheriff's office. Detectives traced the print to a 31-year-old Washington state resident named Hans Galassi, who had lost 4 fingers in the lake while wakeboarding 2 months earlier. Galassi's hand had gotten caught in a loop in the tow line of the boat that was pulling him, and it quickly tightened and severed the fingers. The ordeal happened so fast he reportedly didn't even notice what had happened until he looked down and saw his missing extremities. That's so uncomfortable to think about. I don't even know where to start. How would you react to something like that happening to you? Galassi told CBS News that he was unsurprised by the discovery and that he knew the moment he received a call from law enforcement what it was about. He said he had learned to live without the fingers he lost, and he turned down the sheriff's offer to return his recovered digit. Number 4. Handkerchiefs, a bicycle part, and more. Ostriches are known for their indiscriminate eating preferences, with adult males capable of gulping down 8 pounds or 3.5 kilos of food a day. According to a long-standing legend, these gigantic birds can even digest iron. But this far-fetched claim proved to be nothing more than a myth in the 1930s, when staff members at the London Zoo cut open a dead ostrich and found a 4-inch or 10-centimetre long nail that had perforated its insides and killed it. The bird's stomach also contained an array of other items that did not kill it, including some rope, a handful of coins, a metal comb, tacks, staples, hooks, 3 handkerchiefs, 3 cotton gloves, and a bicycle valve. As the world's largest birds, ostriches can often grow up to 9 feet or 3 meters tall and weigh as much as 320 pounds or 145 kilos, so it's no surprise they are big eaters. These omnivores typically feed on plants, including roots, seeds, and leaves, as well as lizards, snakes, and rodents, not iron nails or pieces of bicycles. Number 3. A polar bear. In 2008, researchers were shocked to find the remains of a young polar bear inside the stomach of a Greenland shark, an elusive bottom-dwelling species that has a known lifespan of hundreds of years. The team admittedly had no idea how this happened, but speculated that the polar bear was already dead before the shark found and ate it. Greenland sharks are massive, reaching up to 7 meters or 23 feet in length, and often weighing more than a ton. But even a young polar bear would likely be a formidable opponent against the slow-swimming ancient species, researcher Steve Campana told Reuters. Experts know relatively little about the Greenland shark, however, including how active they are as predators. While it's unheard of for one to attack a polar bear, and all signs point towards this being a scavenge, other possibilities have not been ruled out. Number 2. Electric blanket. Ketchum, Idaho resident Carl Besnoska realised something was gravely wrong with his 12-foot or 3.5 metre long Burmese python Houdini one day in 2006 and rushed the ailing reptile to the vet. As it turned out, Houdini had attempted to eat his owner's queen-size electric blanket, along with the cord and the control box. Surgeons spent 2 hours removing foreign objects from the snake's body, a procedure that required an 18-inch or 45-centimetre incision. X-rays had showed that the blanket and its components were blocking an 8-foot or 2.5 metre section of Houdini's digestive tract, and he was lucky to be alive. Besnoska told the media that he had kept the blanket in Houdini's cage for warmth, and that it must have gotten tangled with the rabbit the snake ate for dinner that day. Luckily, Houdini's post-surgery outlook was good, with vets feeling pretty confident that he would survive the near-fatal ordeal with no major complications. If not for his quick-thinking owner and smart veterinarians, Houdini would not have survived. Number 1. An entire human. While spending time with friends one night in April 2020, a 55-year-old Indonesian man named Syafri was snatched by a 13-foot or 4-metre long saltwater crocodile and dragged into Laka River Delta. Syafri's friends screamed for help and watched helplessly as the gargantuan creature savaged the man. Shocked residents of Teluk Lanus village called the police, and a search party found Syafri's leg the next morning. Later that day, a search team member captured the crocodile using nets and then shot it dead. Locals cut the reptile open and found the gruesome remains of Syafri's body. Authorities had reportedly cautioned locals to avoid the crocodile-infested swamps the previous years, but Syafri may not have received the warning before he ventured out into dangerous territory. Unfortunately, his death at the hands of a crocodile was not a one-time freak incident. Wildlife officials ruled Syafri's death accidental and vowed to keep up their efforts to protect civilians from the vicious reptiles. But others have said people should know better than to risk their lives by trekking into its habitats. What do you think? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to subscribe and don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. See you next time right here on Epic Wildlife.